What's up, guys? It's Barrett Freeman here with another episode of the PropertyTales podcast. Thanks for joining us. I'm joined today by my Aunt Tonya Freeman. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm Tonya Freeman, as he said. I'm a realtor and
Extraordinaire.
I'm the person you call if you're wanting to buy or sell real estate, or if you have any questions regarding buying or selling real estate.
You've also been known to represent an investor or two.
Or two or three, yes.
All right. The title of this episode is How to Buy a House Starting from Scratch. So will you please tell me how to buy a house starting from scratch?
Well, typically I say your first step is to talk to a lender, but really your first step is to plan out your money, your finances. You need to know how much you want to spend. So there's also, you're going to have closing costs, down payments. If you kind of plan your money ahead of time, when you talk to that lender, then you're going to be a step ahead of everybody else. So you want to talk to a lender. I recommend talking to more than one. And the lender will tell you.
I would recommend People's Bank first, but yeah, talk to whoever you want. But People's Bank does a great job.
Yeah, I have a handful that I really, really like. I don't really recommend any one over the other, especially on a podcast. But anyway, I do have my favorites, and and that's subject to change depending on what the property is, because not all lenders have the same loan types. So.
All right. So step one is look at your monthly budget.
Yes. So when you talk to a lender, they're going to look at your finances, and they're going to tell you after you provide some information, they're going to tell you what houses qualify for loans, what don't qualify for loans, and what price range to look in with the information that you provide them. However, they may tell you an amount that may be more than what you want to spend. So having said that, you can say, this is, after they give you that information, you can say, this is what I'm comfortable spending per month. Because, you might want to do vacations and all that. You don't want to be house poor.
Define house poor.
Well, whenever all your monthly bills is going to, or your income is going to pay your mortgage and your bills, and you don't really have anything extra. You can go take your spouse or your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever out, go on vacation. You have to define what kind of stuff is important to you. So with the information that you give the lender, they can tell you how much house or what price range to look in, and then you can say, I'm comfortable paying this much per month. So what price range do I need to look in? And that would help you. And a good rule of thumb is you don't want to spend more than 25% of your monthly income on house payment, and your house payment is going to include, your principal, interest, insurance, things like that too. Maintenance.
Houses are very expensive to maintain.
Yeah.
Property taxes are getting more and more expensive every year.
Yeah.
Especially in Corbin.
Yes, and property taxes is including that monthly fee, even though it is you pay it once a year.
Knox County, you would think, is one of maybe the poorer areas around here. Mm-hmm. They have the highest property taxes in the state. Like they're top 3.
Really?
Yeah, as far as percentage per $1,000 of what you're paying.
Yeah.
They're top 3 in the state. Knox County, Kentucky, in our backyard, where I own a lot of property.
Yeah. I
pay so much in property tax. My dad said no one likes to hear the landlord complain about money, but it is painful when,
yes.
when that property tax bill comes every October.
Yeah.
So plan them. All right. So look at your monthly budget. So what's step number 2?
Yeah. So you talk to your lender. You need to.
So step 2 is talk to a lender.
Yes. And arguably that might be your first step, but you got to remember that your lender is not a financial planner. So before you can start looking at houses, you need to get pre-approved. So your lender is going to do that for you. They're going to tell you what loan type is a good fit for you. They should explain how much you're going to need in a down payment, and your down payment is going to change depending on what loan type you have. There's 4 different loan types. You have conventional loan, FHA, rural housing, and VA. And I'm not a lender. So I mean, they may have more loan types out there too. They ask,
Commercial.
yeah, they do have. Yeah, I'm talking about like residential. I know that they do have some that have down payment assist. That's a different loan type too. So there's more than 4, I guess. But it's more than so. When you get a loan, the lender is not going to loan on your down payment or your closing costs. So you need to have that out of pocket. You're going to pay that at closing, and your closing costs is typically going to be, I think, anywhere from I will say 3 to 6% of whatever the purchase price is, and all that is subject to what your loan type and your credit score. So and then you can kind of negotiate that too with your, whenever you're making an offer. But a lot of sellers won't even confirm a showing unless you have been pre-approved. They don't, I mean, a lot of times they're still living in the house, so they don't want to get the house show ready, show the house, you guys make an offer, get it under contract, and then you go through that pre-approval process and find out that for whatever reason that you're not approved for that house, and then that house sits pending and it misses a lot of potential buyers. So working with the realtor, we try to make sure we bring pre-approved buyers so that doesn't happen.
Every realtor in America has experienced this situation where someone wants to see a house, you meet them out there, they're always 30 minutes late, they pull up, and then they look through the house, and then they say the words that I hate hearing the most of, yeah, we just don't really know where to start.
Yes.
And so what that tells you is that they've not started the process, they're not serious, they're just wasting your time. Not people act like realtors don't have lives and that our job's just to show houses no matter what.
Right.
I've done that multiple times where the people acted really serious, and when they contact you directly, obviously you want, especially if it's your house you're listing, if the public contacts you directly, you're eager to show it to the public because maybe you'll capture both sides of the commission, buyer seller commission. So, and then they come out there and we're just kind of looking.
Yes.
I was like, well, that was my hour and a half on my Wednesday evening that I could have been hanging out with my family. But anyway, so once you've been pre-approved, what's the next step?
So once you get pre-approved, then you have the lender send a pre-approval letter to your realtor. And it's important to find a realtor, one realtor that you're working with. A lot of people don't realize that they think they have to use the listing agent, and it's in your best interest to find a realtor that's working on your behalf. So a realtor, there's
Are you discouraging dual agency?
You're not going to like that. I don't. I love having dual agency. So dual agency is whenever you have a house listed, and then you also bring the buyer. And so what happens is a seller pays a commission to the brokerage, and the brokerage pays the buyer's agent. So if someone else comes in and brings the buyer, then that brokerage splits that commission with that buyer. And if you bring the buyer, you're a dual agent, you get both sides. There's some risk to that because you have to trust who you're working with. So sometimes you may be working with a realtor who will have a house listed. They may have a buyer for that house, and someone else comes in, has a buyer, has a better offer, higher offer, and then if they just give you a verbal offer, that seller may never hear this other buyer's offer, because if you have the buyer too, sometimes people get greedy if
It's understandable.
Yeah. So you got to know that you got to trust who you're working with and know that they're working for your
How do you
best
know
interest.
if you've picked the right realtor?
Well, pick me, and then you have the right realtor. So But anyway, seriously though,
But yeah, seriously, hire Tonya. But
yeah,
most people don't realize that they do need to ask their realtor some very important questions.
Yes.
I'd like to know how many years they've been realtor.
Yes.
I don't care at all what company they're with, because the company doesn't mean you're going to be a good realtor. If it's one of these national branded companies, but I'd like to know how long they've been realtor. Do they have any? I don't know. What other questions do you think? That's a big one, but also experience doesn't mean good realtor either. But
yeah. references or referrals. It's great at reviews. I don't even ask for reviews. I need to do that.
Yeah, we do a bad job of that too.
Yeah, I did a terrible job at that. But I did do better. Anyway,
All right. So the public person's hired you as the listing agent. What do you start doing for them once you've been
I
retained?
usually set them up on what's called a client portal. So the client portals, where they can put in their criteria, and anything that fits their criteria, it's going to be sent to them. And it doesn't matter if it's my listing or someone else's listing. If it fits their criteria, they're going to get notification for it. And then then we start looking at houses. And if we start looking at homes and they fall in love with one and they're ready to put in an offer, then you do what's called an earnest deposit. An earnest deposit is kind of good faith money. So typically that's going to be around, I always kind of round it up or down. It's usually 1% of the purchase price or $500, depending on what that purchase price is. So if it's like a vacant lot that's listed for $10,000, then we usually do like a $500 earnest deposit. So the earnest deposit doesn't get deposited until a contract has been negotiated, and then once it's negotiated and everybody agrees on it and it's signed and then it's a legal binding contract, then that earnest deposit goes into an escrow account, and usually that's in the buyer's agency, that brokerage account. And then there's contingency period. Contingency periods, it can be 10 days, 14 days, something like that. You have your home inspections, termite inspections, all that done during that contingency period. And if there's an issue with the home inspection, we go back and try to resolve that issue with the seller. And a home inspection is good, something I want to talk about too, because a home inspection, it's not for cosmetic issues and it's not for routine maintenance things. It's for anything that's really costly or anything that's a hazard. So if you go into a house and you see some, something cosmetic and it's already visible, and you don't negotiate that in the contract at the time that you put in the contract, you can't go back after the home inspection, because the home inspector is going to note everything. They have to, because if they don't, they're going to be liable. So they're going to note all the routine maintenance things. Routine maintenance things could be like caulking around the windows, or cosmetic things is not chip paint, but like scrape, whatever, dirty paint or paint that's came off from, I've seen them from doorknobs or whatever. But they have to note that stuff. So if you see something that's cosmetic and you think it's going to be an issue, then negotiate that at the time that you put your contract in. Don't wait until you have home inspection and say, I want this fixed, because you saw that at the house at the time that you were viewing the house. But, again, a home inspection is for costly things. So roof, foundation, plumbing issues, things like that. And then your home inspector, they're not a licensed contractor, or they're not a licensed plumber or electrician. So if they flag those things, then what they're going to recommend normally is that you have a licensed, say if it's a plumbing issue, you have a licensed plumber go in and look at it. And most of the time they can say whether that's just the age of the house, or it's, not going to be an issue, or they can tell you what needs to be done to resolve it. And then you go from there and negotiate the contract. You ask the seller if they'll repair those before closing, or do an allowance, whatever the loan will allow. And we put that in a repair request. And if that cannot be resolved, then you have an option to void the contract. If you void the contract and it's within that contingency period, then you get your earnest deposit back. Your home inspection is out of pocket. You don't get that back, but it's you need to do it.
So you think you should always get an inspection?
I do.
Why?
Well, because I'm not a home inspector, and neither's the buyer, and you need to know what you're buying. You need to know if there's going to be any issues. And not all loans require home inspection. And if you don't want to do one, then I recommend having, maybe a licensed roofer, electrician, or a plumber. Some of the things that could be an issue, I would have, those people come in and look at it.
Okay, so once we've got a contract, we manage the contingency period, what happens next?
So then we've gone through the inspection period. So we've got all that resolved. We've had some.
Everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. Yeah. So then the lender will they'll order the appraiser to come in. I say hopefully they will order the appraiser to come in, but you got to make sure. Your job as a realtor, my job as a realtor, is to make sure that the lender doesn't order the appraisal to come out before we have a home inspection, because the buyer has to pay for that out of pocket too. So if there's going to be an issue, typically it's going to be with the home inspection. So we want to make sure that's done, that's resolved, and then we call that lender, say it's all taken care of, let's order the appraisal. Once the appraisal's done, and they give us a thumbs up, and hopefully they will, then it's easily from there, it's going to close within, I would say, about maybe a week to 2 weeks after that's done. But typically it's going to take about 30 days to close, sometimes 40 days. I always put a 40-day time period for a closing.
I always put 45 days.
Yeah.
30-day closings are a thing of the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
The appraiser, you might order the appraisal, but he'll be 2 weeks out to get to the house, and then when he finally gets to the house, it'll still take him 3 or 4 days to generate the report for the bank.
Yeah.
Then the bank has 2 or 3 different people that have to look at the appraisal to make sure that they're getting good collateral to back their loan. And
right.
So what do closing days usually look like?
Let's see, what do they look like? Got to make sure we have the earnest deposit, so that
where do closings happen?
most of my closings happen at a title company. So, and I love working with the title company, because that's all they do is title work.
Basically transaction coordinators, really.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So
Make sure all the documents are in order and signed and dated and.
Yes. Yep. So they'll send you emails. You have to make sure you check your emails, because there's going to be information that they're going to require from you. And another point that I want to make is, once you talk to a lender, about a week or 2 weeks before you get ready to close, they're going to pull all that information again. So they're going to need certain information from the buyer, like their W-2s. They want to know your work history.
Pay stubs.
Yes.
Don't quit your job 2 weeks before closing.
Yes. Don't quit your job 2 weeks before closing. Don't buy a boat. Don't buy a truck to pull it. Don't open a credit card.
Just calm down, people. Buy a house and then spend all your money.
Yeah, because if you do any of that, it will change your debt to income ratio and can knock you out of that loan. And they'll pull all that information again, about a week or two before you get ready to close, to make sure everything's the same. So I've seen people, they'll go to Belk and they'll say, save $30 today if you open this credit card, and they'll do it and
Mess up the deal.
yeah.
So, that's the process.
Yep. Well, in the title company, people, you have to make sure we get the sellers have a payoff on a mortgage. They get that payoff information. They take care of everything. So they distribute the funds. They'll provide you. Well, sometimes sellers will have an attorney write the deed, but usually they write the deed. They all the closing costs that you have to pay, which are recording fees, transfer fees, which goes to the county, the taxes that goes to the county, mortgage payoff, which goes to your financial institute. They distribute all those funds and the commissions and the proceeds to the seller. And then we give the seller the keys whenever they give them the deed. And we take pictures and everybody's happy.
You do not take pictures.
I know, I'm terrible.
Yeah. So get the keys, move in.
Yes.
Start having babies. I don't know. Grow the family.
Yes. Outgrow the house and then call me and we'll get you another one.
What's the average length of time that somebody's in a home? I know the answer to this. I don't know if you do.
About 8 years.
7 years.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
from the National Banking Association.
Yeah.
They release their length of loan
Yeah.
reports every year. And last year the number was 7 years, average length of a home loan,
Yeah.
before somebody moved out and paid it off or whatever they do.
Right.
All right, changing gears. I did not prepare you for this topic.
Oh, no. Okay.
National Association of Realtors v. Missouri. What's your take?
Are we talking about the lawsuit thing? My take.
Do you think the Realtor Association unfairly or practiced unfair? I guess used unfair practices to hurt the public.
I don't. I don't know if some of the brokerages that were brought up, I don't know if they did. But I know what the National Association of Realtors, and I know what our state and our local, I know what our guidelines are. And so I know that there's an issue about commissions. They feel like people were setting commissions too high, and they feel like the seller was paying buyer's commissions. And what they, and you actually hear, and I've seen realtors myself, they'll get on like TikTok or Facebook and they'll say, buyers, do you know it doesn't cost you anything to use a realtor? And you can't do that because, and like I said earlier, all that the commission is already negotiated when the house goes under contract.
Yeah.
So the seller is paying the brokerage. So, and the broker is going to pay whoever brings the buyer. They're going to pay the listing agent a percentage, and they're going to pay the buyer a percentage. So, and that's that comes out of the proceeds.
So the big issue is like antitrust laws.
Right.
They're saying that all these, basically the National Association of Realtors, which is the national organization that everyone's a part of if you sell
Right.
real estate, basically they're saying in Missouri specifically, they were setting the commissions, and you're not allowed to set the commissions.
Right.
You can't say commissions are 6% or
No,
7%
you can negotiate those.
or 5%.
Yeah.
So, but they were saying that they weren't doing that. They
Yeah.
basically said commissions are 7%. That's what they are. So okay, I don't want to pay 7%. Normally, you can go to another company and say, "What's your commission?" They may say 6%, and then you'll go with them because it'll save you some money on commission.
Right.
But apparently in Missouri, everyone had just agreed at 7% or whatever it was, and that hurt the consumer.
Yes. And I also heard that there was one brokerage that was training their realtors to look at the commission, and if it was if their client was giving them several houses to look at, and one of them had lower commission than another one, they would
Steer them toward the
Steer
one
them
that would
away.
make the agent
Yes.
the most money,
Right.
and even at the expense of the public and their client.
Right.
So really, it was a issue of their duty to the client.
And the whole point of working with a realtor is we're always supposed to put our clients first. Most of them I don't even look at the commission. I look at the houses that they want to look at.
I don't look at the commission ever
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, so they send me a list of homes that they want to look at, or I send them a list of homes that fit their criteria, and then if they send me, say they send me 6 houses, which is a lot of houses to show in one day, I tell them to tell me which ones are the most important ones that they want to look at. I try to get them all in, and then if I can't, I say which ones are it's the most important, and then we'll get those in one day, and then work on getting the other ones in or whatever. But I don't. It's for any realtor. It's important for you to show the houses that's a good fit for their client, because this is a big purchase.
All right. Well, that's a podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Always.
All right. So this has been another episode of the PropertyTales podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.